Today, we're stepping away from six-packs and ab routines and into the chaos of the Roman arena. Gladiators weren't built for mirrors, they were built for uneven ground, armor, weapons, and survival. The core wasn't about looking strong, it was about managing rotation, absorbing force, staying upright under threat, and regulating immense pressure when everything was on the line. Using history, movement science, and the movie Gladiator, we explore what ancient bodies can teach us about modern training and why the best core work often doesn't look like core work at all. Welcome to the Movement Multiverse. My name is Max and I will be the host for today's episode. The Movement Multiverse is a podcast for movement nerds, curious minds, and anyone who wants to think about movement beyond just the gym. Hosted by Max, each episode is intended to give you a new perspective on movement by exploring movement in all its forms, drawing from science, history, culture, fitness, media, and more. No episode is intended to treat any individual's medical problems, for education and entertainment purposes only. So today we're going to answer some of the questions related to your core. So what is your core? What's the best way to train it? Is there a best way to train your core? All through the lens of the movie Gladiator. So this is a movie that I recently watched a couple of years ago for the first time. I think it was done in 2000. Russell Crowe plays the main character, Maximus. It's basically just a story about a gladiator who one of the leaders of the Roman army, and he was taken up by Marcus Aurelius to be the future leader of Rome. And throughout the movie, you'll see that one of the characters does not like that idea, so he kind of takes over, and Maximus, the gladiator, has to kind of work his way through the system as a gladiator. So it's a really great movie if you haven't seen it. I give it a 9 out of 10. So the movie Gladiator is a really great example of how simplicity and doing things within your environment is really good for just training in general, but also your core. So what actually is your core? That's kind of the first question we need to answer before moving on. I think it can be defined really as the center of pretty much every movement that you do. So within our bodies, the center of movement is pretty much our trunk. So I would say, around the ab region, maybe even parts of what some would consider your legs, maybe even up to like your upper ribs, maybe even your arms. So really the core is the center of movement where force from either working out or lifting or sport is transmitted to other parts of the body. It's where force can be initiated from. It's also where we stabilize other forces and where loads can be transferred from body part to body part. So it's really not just the front of the body. It can be considered all parts of the core, so the front, the sides, the back. So we're thinking of really lots of muscles that could be involved. So our diaphragm is one that often is forgotten. So breathing mechanics are important for our core. Our pelvic floor, so our pelvis, our SI joint, our legs. Our erectors, so the muscles on our back, really help stabilize our core. Obviously, our abs and obliques. Our lats, our transverse abdominis, which is one of those deeper core muscles that helps us stabilize. So there's a lot more that are involved, a lot of smaller ones. But as you can see, the core is really where a lot of things happen. So sit-ups and crunches probably won't get you to what you're looking for if you're looking to, quote-unquote, train your core. So when we're watching the movie Gladiator, you'll see that they don't train like we do in modern times to get what we would call a core. So how do they achieve their core training? Is it more environment-based? Are they training on the side? What are they doing to be able to pick up these big heavy objects to fight in the arena with heavy swords or javelins or whatever it might be? So I think the movie really sets up the idea that our environment can play a big role in helping us understand how our core interacts with the environment and our bodies. So gladiators, they fight in the arena, so they have to use heavy weapons. So you can think of swords or javelins or rocks or whatever it might be. So really heavy objects. So they're doing things like squatting or picking things up from the ground, so deadlifts, or throwing objects or catching objects or spearing objects. So their core is really the base of how they initiate movement. It's how they stop their movement. It's how they can create quick movements to evade death, really. So it's really simple movements, yet since they're doing these heavy things with repetition, they get the outcomes of a really strong core that a lot of us are looking for. So we can kind of relate this to modern day training, where core training is related to things like machines, or maybe some, sit-ups, crunches, or feet to bar hangs. So although both options are viable to building your core, if you're really looking to use your core as a tool to create better movement, beyond just the way it looks, the Gladiator mindset is a really great one to have when we're thinking about how we can train our core. So there's really just 3 simple concepts that gladiators use to make themselves strong, be able to transmit force really well, and to absorb force to stabilize their body using heavy objects. And one of those is just picking up heavy things. So do the hard thing, pick up heavy things with decent mechanics, using your core with good breathing techniques, and your core will start to develop. So in modern day training, that might look like a barbell squat, or a dumbbell squat, or deadlifts, or some sort of medicine ball throws, or jumping, or anything that really involves power. So it's a quick, fast, sometimes fast exertion that uses our entire body to produce force. The second one is, if we want to pick up heavy things, we have to do the heavy thing. So we adapt to the demands that we put on our own body. So first one, we're picking up the heavy things. And the second one is more just, if we want to do the heavy thing, we have to do it. So we'll adapt to being able to do those things by progressively loading our body to handle that load. And the third one is, we have to have an environment, or we can use the environment to enhance either our training or to use it as our training. So maybe things like dad strength, or construction workers, or another occupation where core work is constantly being involved in our day-to-day activities, can help us really develop our core, our connection to our core, and so on. So what does this mean for modern day training? Put simply, if you're looking to train your core, so if you're looking maybe to increase your muscle mass of your core, whether that be to have visible abs or to just feel stronger doing those heavy movements, I would say it's probably more beneficial to move beyond sit-ups and crunches and to start adding things like heavy carries, so a kettlebell carry, a suitcase carry, a farmer's carry, whatever it might be, doing things like catching a medicine ball as well as throwing it against a wall, doing other rotation-based activities, so like around the worlds with a kettlebell. So any sort of irregular load that makes us use the body in a way that isn't, super well planned, but is still controlled. There's also the idea of protecting your spine. So when we think back to the Gladiator, they're doing not much to protect their spine. They're in the arena, they're going after each other to kill each other. So they're not protecting their spine. They're more preparing their spine for either moving or protecting themselves, or attacking, whatever it might be. So preparing the spine or the back or the core to do these really hard movements, heavy movements. And oftentimes core work, to the general population won't actually look like core work. So when you're doing a barbell squat, it's really great for your core. You have to stabilize the heavy load through the entire movement, more often so than, say, a simple sit-up. So it might not look like it's core, but it actually is involving all those different muscles we were talking about earlier into a really heavy, big movement. And that'll really help us develop the core that we're looking for. So in the end, just do the simple thing. Pick up the heavy things. Do the hard thing. Control your breathing during movement. So find techniques that allow you to maintain your breath control while either doing heavy movements or repetitive movements or more endurance type movements, because it might be a little bit different through each one. So breathing is really important. So do the heavy thing, maintain your breathing control, and the core is way beyond just the 6-pack abs or the really simple ab routine that'll get you abs in a week if you do this 5 times a day or whatever thing you might see on social media. So it's pretty simple. Hopefully this helps if you're looking, or if you're confused about maybe what a core is or how you should train it. But that's the end of today's episode. I really tried to keep it simple in terms of talking about what the core is, what we can actually do in modern training, and relating it back to ancient gladiators. So if you enjoyed this episode, give us a follow and leave a comment if you found any value or if you had any ideas for future episodes. Thanks for listening.